So let me talk about another subject. Housing. You can't talk about housing if you don't start with supply and demand and the cost of housing. What determines prices in America, in free enterprise system? What determines the price of housing? A lot of things, but basically it's supply and demand. In a free enterprise system, supply and demand determines price. Now, no free enterprise system is perfect. Ours is about as perfect as you can get, but in some economies that say they're free enterprise, they're not really not. For example, the government will come in and put its thumb on the scale and affect supply and demand. The government might come in and say, China does this all the time, say we're going to favor or subsidize, either with direct money or special loans, solar panels. China does that. They wanted to dominate the world in solar panels. They do. The Communist Party in China went in and gave especially good treatment to the manufacturers of solar panels. I don't much like that. It's China's business. I don't like it when that sort of thing happens in America because it interferes with free enterprise. It's an illegitimate manipulating of price and supply and demand. How else can supply and demand or prices be affected besides supply and demand? Well, you can have antitrust violations. If all the makers of microwave ovens get together in a back room over cigars and a sip of whiskey and say they're going to fix prices at a certain price, they can run the price of microwave ovens up. That's a crime, too. It's illegal under the Sherman Antitrust Act. You can go to the pokey for that. So it's supply and demand. Well, what causes prices, specifically the cost of housing, to go up? Well, it's when demand for housing is greater than the supply of housing. Duh. It's not complicated. Remember when we had 9% inflation under President Biden? Not just in housing, but in everything else. I'll tell you how that happened. President Biden, he used the pandemic as an excuse, but we were past the pandemic. And he and my Democratic friends appropriated billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, in many cases directly to the American people. And people got that money and said, thank you very much, and they went out and spent it. They spent it on goods and they spent it on services. The problem was the people who produced the services and made the goods were not prepared. Many of them had supply lines during the pandemic that were affected. So you had this huge amount of demand with the American people having a huge amount of money, and they wanted to buy, but the supply wasn't there. So what happened? Prices went up. At one point, prices went up to inflation reached 9%. Now, the good news is it has come down. So we're better, but we're not well. Inflation, I think new numbers came out today, they're at about 2.7%. That means prices are still going up. Many of them have come down. Prices are still going up. They're just not going up as quickly as they were going up under President Biden, thanks to the new economic policies adopted by the Trump administration and the Republican Congress. One of the things, though, that hasn't come down in price is housing. I mean, I don't need to tell the American people. It is just breathtaking. The average first-time home buyer in America today. I want you to think about this. To buy a home, you got to save up a down payment, and you got to have enough income so they'll loan you the money so you can comfortably pay the mortgage. The average person today, first-time home buyer, doesn't reach those parameters until they're 40 years old. 40 years old. Owning a home is the American dream. And housing's gone up everywhere. It's gone up in my state. It's gone up in the Northeast, the Southwest. It's really gone up in California. A refrigerator box behind an Outback costs $500,000 in California. Nobody can afford homes anymore. They just can't. Why is that? Well, you can hear a lot of experts talk about it. Some of them will say, well, it's interest rates, you know. Interest rates went up. They did go up. And some will say it's this, and some will say it's that. But I'll tell you the main reason housing has gone up so much and hasn't come down. Because the demand for a house is greater than the supply. We don't have enough houses. We just don't.